Hi, everyone. Greetings and happy Monday. I'm your host, Mallory McCoy, and welcome to this week's live stream episode of A Monday Moment with Mal. As always, may this broadcast bring you what you need in the present moment. May my light exude positivity and kindness, and may my love extend to all those who could use a little extra. Ashe. Let's seize the moment. I was so excited. Happy solar eclipse day. I hope that you got to witness the beauty of and the wonder of the omnipresent space that's all around us today. I was outside with little kindergartners and we did the math because our next solar eclipse is in 16 years. So my 5-year-olds will be 21 and my 6-year-olds will be 22 and my 7-year-old that I have in the class, he will be 23 years old the next time a solar eclipse happens here in America. So it was really cool to experience that with them. And this past weekend, I was able to get out the house and I attended the KC Mystic Fair. And I also got to go to a sacred guided meditation by my friend Nicolette Page. You should check her out. She's she has a business called Soul. Oh gosh, I'm having a brain fart. I'll have to come back and get it. Anyway, um, check her out and find her. She's Nicolette Page, and she has a radio show and she has a website. I should have been ready for that. Anyway, it was a beautiful meditation, and I was I was with someone that I met at Cafe Gratitude, which is a local vegan restaurant, and she works there, and she's a young, beautiful soul, and we got to hang out, and that was really fun. Spirit has also been leading me to collect community resources and make sure that I am sharing those community resources. So, if you have any agencies that can help people, please send them my way. I will put a link for their business or their agency at the QR code that's in this corner, and they can scan it. Like this weekend, I found out that if people are taking care of their loved ones and they have Medicaid, they can get paid for it. And then there's an agency, a local agency called A New Way Home Care that can help you out with that. So I found their Facebook page and I linked it in this QR code. So please go check it out. If you can get paid by helping a family member out in that way, or you know someone that can do that. So yeah, I'm grateful. I'm really more so grateful for this moment that I have here with you. May blessings flow abundantly in your life and continue to flow abundantly in your life. All right, I want to get straight to it because we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. So this week's episode is about parenting lessons that I've learned so far. 5 specifically. I've learned a whole lot, but 5 are the ones I chose to talk about today. And you know, I love me a good definition, and I'm team facts over feelings. So let's get straight to it. So, according to dictionary.com, the word parent functions in 3 different ways: a noun, a verb, and an adjective. So as a noun, and they made sure to include any any facet of what could be a parent: a father, a mother, an ancestor, a precursor, a progenitor, a source, an origin, or cause, a protector or guardian. So fully encompassed noun of parent. The adjective to parent or someone that's parenting is being the original source. Um, and then the verb is to act as a parent of. And so I found that to be pretty interesting because we should know that we all parent in many different ways. So I'm going to go straight to the research. So shout out to the Pew Research Center for conducting research. about parenting in America. So, the research that I'm about to present to you was conducted in late September, early October 2022, and was released to the public in January 2023. So, fairly new information from parents. This is important because anyone who is parenting post pandemically knows that parenting has changed even more drastically. And also, it's important to note that the sample size was based on the responses of 3,757 US parents with with children under the age of 18, and with random address samplings to ensure that all demographics were able to and did participate. So the research sample size that they used comes from a variety of people, and not just focused on dominant culture. So that's important to know. So I want to show you some research really quick. Let's see. Let's go to, here we go. Here's my pictures. So the first chart that they presented talked about parental concerns. And in the wake of the pandemic and reports of growing youth mental health crisis, which it doesn't have to be a report. Anybody who's spent any time in any facility with children, you know that there is a growing mental health crisis for our young ones. 4 in 10 parents with children younger than 18 said that they were extremely or very worried that their children might struggle with anxiety or depression at some point. And that outweighed getting beat up or attacked, getting shot, getting pregnant, or even getting in trouble with the police. That was number one. Number two is a problem that continues to grow even with parameters in place, but children getting bullied. People getting bullied, because not just children getting bullied, but people are getting bullied. And so that was certainly surprising to me. Yeah. Uh, so this is the next chart that they pulled up. Oh, I should probably go back and say, to the point of this chart, it's important, or this research, it's important to note that mothers are more likely than fathers to worry about these things. There are also differences by income and by race and ethnicity, with lower income and Hispanic parents generally more likely than other parents to worry about their child's physical safety, teen pregnancy, and problems with drugs and alcohol. Black and Hispanic parents are more likely than white and Asian parents to say they are extremely or very worried about their children getting shot or getting in trouble with the police. And that's the fact. Um, let's move on. So this has to do with the percentage of parents saying that it's important for their or important to them that their child do each of the following as adults. And of course, on a agreement scale, extremely, somewhat, not to, or not at all. Look at this. 88% of parents surveyed said that they want their children to be extremely, very um, financially independent. 88%. That's most of the parents wanted financial stability for their children. And look what's at the bottom, which I was actually pretty surprised by that, but not really. So they wanted their children to have children, but that's not the first priority for their children. Um, about 4 in 10 say that it's extremely or very important to them that their children earn a college degree, while smaller shares place a lot of importance on their children eventually becoming parents and getting married. So that's a smaller. There's a sharp difference though by race and ethnicity when it comes to the importance parents place on their children graduating from college. So it says 70% of Asian parents say that this is extremely or very important to them, compared to 57% of Hispanic parents, 51% of Black parents, and just 29% of white parents. Okay, run tell that fact. Um, and the next chart, uh, is the reason for this episode today. And it has the most significant statistics for me. So, my takeaway from this chart is how parents are feeling about parenting. And according to the research, 62% of parents said that being a parent has been at least somewhat harder than they expected, with about 26% saying that it's a lot harder. This is especially true of mothers, 30% of whom say being a parent has been a lot harder than they expected, compared with 20% of fathers. Now, we know a little bit about that dynamic, and why that dynamic is in place. At the same time, most parents give themselves high marks for the job they're doing, with 64% saying they do an excellent or very good job as a parent. 32% say they do a good job, while just 4% say they do an only fair or poor job as a parent. Mothers and fathers give themselves similarly high ratings, but there are differences by income and by race and ethnicity. Upper income and Black and white families are more likely to say that they do an excellent or very good job. While a relatively small share of parents place a high level of importance on their own children having children one day, the vast majority, including mothers and fathers and across income and racial and ethnic groups, describe being a parent as the most or one of the most important aspects of who they are as a person. Mothers, 35%, are more likely than fathers, 24%, to say being a parent is the most important aspect. And Black, 42%, and Hispanic, 38% parents are more likely than white or Asian parents, 25% and 24%, respectfully, to say the same. So that was a lot of numbers. But if you want to take a deeper dive, you can go to my blog and I will link it. I will link this information, or you could just search research by parenting in America. But to me, all of this research is worth looking at by anyone, but especially if you are a parent. You will find that the more we think we are different, the more we are actually the same, which brings me to the topic of today. Um, I struggled actually with the direction of this week's topic simply because I wanted to make sure that I fully encompassed not only my feelings, but also included the facts of parenting, because team facts over feelings. And I wanted to make sure that I captured all of my feelings and not just my temporary ones. Therefore, last week when I said the show would be entitled Parenting or Parenting Sucks, these after reflection, I was like, this would not be the best title to have for this show, because I don't feel like that most of the time. In fact, most of the time, I feel very blessed that I am a parent. The love that I have for my son, it goes beyond any word that can be used in the English dictionary. Even saying that I love him feels restrictive, because my love feels larger than just saying love. My son is literally a gift to me from source. And I know that our souls were meant to move through this part of the greater timeline together. So much so, sometimes I even struggle thinking about what happened in my life before he was a part of it. But I will say that I became a parent at 33, and I wasn't prepared to parent. Even with the extensive parenting experience that I wrote about in a blog last year called "I've Been a Parent All My Life," and even though I felt like I was financially stable, even though I was in a marriage, I still feel like I wasn't ready for all that came with parenting. And when he became a part of my life, like everything shifted for me, because my life became all about him and learning how to parent him. Google was literally my midwife and my postpartum doula, because I went to Google to search for everything. And because I became a parent, I lost myself and I lost my marriage and relationship for at least 2.5 years. I feel like I was in 2.5 years of a haze. And then I woke up to myself, and that was like, whoa, what happened? It was certainly a wild ride. And I still, to this day, I mean, sometimes I just need a day or two or a week off from parenting. And I no longer feel guilty for feeling that way, because it can be hard. But I digress, because today I wanted to tell you some lessons that I've learned at, just while being a mom. And I haven't been a mom that long. My son's only 7, but this is what I've learned so far. Um, and just as a disclaimer, you will find that the lessons that I mention are void of directly referring to the skills and traits of parenting, because the skills and traits of parenting are actually the skills and traits of basic relationship building. And I actually referred to that in a previous episode entitled um, top 5 skills for relationships or romantic relationships, but really I should title that episode for relationships, because all relationships require the very basics. And parenting, mother to child, father to child, guardian to child, that is no exception. So these lessons certainly do encompass those skills and traits, but they are beyond the scope. The lessons that I'm talking about today are beyond the scopes of the basics. So let me get into it. Here's my first lesson. If you are doing the best that you can, you are doing the best that you can. That's my first lesson. Society has a way of making us comparative and envious of each other, and social media has only made it worse. You used to only try to keep up with others on your block or in your city, but now the pressure of trying to keep up with the world is exhausting. But the reality of the matter is that everybody out here is struggling. No matter what they make it look like on social media, everybody's out here struggling. The struggle is real most of the time, 99.2% of the time. Of course, some of us have it easier than others, but the struggle is still real. And us trying to master the art of parenting is no exception, because there's literally no manual to help you parent. You There's no manual, because you literally have to parent in the best interest of the child that you're parenting. And you can have multiple children, as I'm the oldest of 6. So you can have multiple children, and there will be some things that work with all of them, and there will be some things that only work with one or two of them. And so, in that, you have to give yourself grace as you navigate the uncharted water of building relationships with your children, or with whoever you're with, because we are and I feel like there should be more support or mentorship, because we're literally all in this struggle together. Um, yeah, it's real. Okay, here's my second one. Um, to that note, if you can't be the best you can be, then don't be afraid to ask for help. Because when you don't ask for help, the child is the only one that suffers. They didn't ask to be here. So if they are here, they deserve our best, our collective best. So societal best, not just in their household best, but they deserve the best from us. So as a teacher, you don't know how many kids have came to me and asked me to come home with me, because their lives in their house are not optimal. And it's broken my heart every time some kid has asked me if they can come home with me, or if I could be their mom. So I'm here to say, if you don't have the resources to take care of your child, find someone else who does, or someone who has the knowledge to help you with resources, because there are resources out here to help. And ultimately, love is stronger than pride. Number 3, As a parent, you have to give yourself oxygen first. I always go back to the plane ride. My first plane ride was when I was 21 years old. And my first plane ride with my son was when he was little bitty. I went as many places as I could with him on my lap, so I didn't have to pay for a plane ticket, extra plane ticket for him. But I remember once I got him, and he was sitting on my lap, the attendant would always make sure to say, give yourself oxygen first before you give him oxygen. And I just applied that to my life, especially after I quit my career of 14 years as an educator, a full-time educator every day. Because ultimately, if you're dying physically, mentally, spiritually, or emotionally, you cannot help anybody else. You can't be your best self for someone else. And like I said, I was dying, and uh I had to apply giving myself oxygen to every facet in my life, like an artist takes a brush on a canvas. Uh, it felt good to when I was able to release myself and do that. So now I'm intentional about my time being away from parenting, because when I'm away from parenting for a little bit, 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, then I can come back and be my best self. Um, Everybody needs a break from things, period. And parenting is no exception. So, which takes me to my next point, which is my fourth lesson. It truly takes a child to, or excuse me, it truly takes a village to raise a child. Um, and I'm there's so many levels to this village, um, this village thing. It's and so I'm working through it. There's so many of us, especially us millennials, who are choosing to do all the adult things by ourselves. I felt like we were kind of forced into it because we were told, when you turn 18, you got to go and you got to figure it out. I don't feel like I was given much of a manual to be an adult. So, and I know that people can feel me on that. So, parenting is no exception. And, like when you try to apply what your parents did with you and you're like, oh, this doesn't work, I got to try something different. Like, yeah, but it's cool to try something different when there's somebody sitting next to you or in your circle saying, hey, did you try this? Did you try this? And then if you fail, that you got somebody to talk to. Like, it's just so helpful. Um, we're choosing to be apart from a village. We're choosing to be by ourselves. And I get it. I understand. Pick me. I have trust issues. Um, and that is my largest barrier to building my village. I've expressed before, and I will continue to express, I am an awesome mom. My son is on the spectrum. And I know what he needs, and his needs are pretty routine, and I know how to meet his needs because he's nonverbal. So I know his gesture. I spend a lot of time with him, so I know his gestures. I know, what he's most likely needing at the time. And so, but I can say that there are only a few more people that I can count on my hands, that are outside of myself and that are a part of his life, who actually want to be a part of his life and take the time to learn what he needs. But in my experience, most people don't try to learn what he needs or understand him in the way that he needs for them to understand him. And so ultimately, they try to use a one size fits all parenting style for him. And because that makes them comfortable, it makes them comfortable for him to conform to their style instead of them learn his style, if that makes sense, or learn his ways. And so to protect him, I keep him mostly to myself, but I want to have a larger village for him. And actually, I'm working on that. So I truly believe that when we connect and we are in larger community, then everybody thrives when everybody thrives. So, yeah, if you want to be a part of my tribe, let me know. And then my last lesson, which I actually learned a long time ago, um, in my teaching career, I actually was exposed to this poem in one of my undergraduate classes. But then it stuck with me as I've navigated life with children and adults. Because all the adults are just grown children, and we are actually all the ages that we've ever been right now. So I'm 39, almost 40 years old. I'm 5, I'm 6, I'm 7, I'm 8, I'm 9, I'm 10, all the way up to 39 and all the way before. So I've seen this play out in other people, and I've also seen it play out myself, but there's no truer words ever spoke. So the poem's called Children Learn What They Live. And here it goes, by Dorothy Nolte. If children live with criticism, they learn to condemn. If children live with hostility, they learn to fight. If children live with ridicule, they learn to be shy. If children live with shame, they learn to feel guilty. If children live with encouragement, they learn confidence. If children live with tolerance, they learn to be patient. If children live with praise, they learn to appreciate. If children live with acceptance, they learn to love. If children live with approval, they learn to like themselves. If children live with honesty, they learn truthfulness. If children live with security, they learn to have faith in themselves and others. And if children live with friendliness, they learn the world is a nice place in which to live. It's a beautiful poem in two snaps because so true. Um, but while going to find this poem, I also came across a version for teenagers that exists. So this was written by the original author Nolte and Rachel Harris. It's called Teenagers Learn What They Live. And a lot of my friends are in this phase now. I'm the one with the 7-year-old, and everybody's got grown kids. If teenagers live with pressure, they learn to be stressed. If teenagers live with failure, they learn to give up. If teenagers live with rejection, they learn to feel lost. If teenagers live with too many rules, they learn to get around them. Pick me. If children live with too few rules, they learn to ignore the needs of others. Absolutely. If teenagers live with broken promises, they learn to be disappointed. If teenagers live with respect, they learn to honor others. If teenagers live with trust, they learn to tell the truth. If teenagers live with openness, they learn to discover themselves. If teenagers live with natural consequences, they learn to be accountable. Amen. We can stop right there, but I'll keep going. That's if people, I should change that. If people live with natural consequences, they learn to be accountable. Because woo, some of us adults are stuck in our teenage years. Woo, that was a word. If teenagers live with responsibility, they learn to be self reliant. If teenagers live with healthy habits, they learn to be kind to their bodies. If teenagers live with support, they learn to feel good about themselves. If teenagers live with creativity, they learn to share who they are. If teenagers live with caring attention, they learn how to love. And if teenagers live with positive expectations, they learn to help build a better world. Which leads me to my call to action today. So, my call to action for you this week is to reflect on your own parenting skills. What areas do you glow in? What areas can you grow in? And for your grows, who can you who can help you or mentor you with your grows? I feel like everything that we need, everything that we have, everything that we do, we need a mentor for it. But you have to actively seek someone in your life that can be a mentor or not in your life, but manifest them. Remember, you are not alone, and give yourself so much grace. Paint yourself with grace. And again, manifest the assistance you need in your life. Well, to wrap up, I got a couple of quotes for you. Let me go through these. Ooh, here we go. I wasn't ready. Okay. So I got a couple of quotes this week because I just couldn't choose one. Parenting is the easiest thing in the world to have an opinion about, but the hardest thing in the world to do. Matt Walsh. And I have to check myself sometimes too, um, because it is easier to judge than to help. But how many times have you seen a parent in a store with their child and they're clowning or doing something? You're like, oh, he needs his butt whooped or something like that. And then, but also, we can help out, but we also have to be receptive to be helped. So very important. And then the other quote, and I think this was more for me, but sometimes we try to buy the affections of our children. And Jesse Jackson's wise words were, your children need your presence more than your presence. That's hard to say. Your children need your presence more than your presence. Yeah, very important. And then our affirmations, these are for you this week. So I can live in the moment with my children. Oof, put that phone down and get in your children's face. I can balance my needs with my children's needs. And that's so hard, but very important. I can ask for help and I am worthy of receiving it. That's supposed to have a why. I'll fix it. We are all learning and growing together. Absolutely. I can and will find joy in the small moments. I can handle whatever challenges come my way, and I'm doing the best that I can. Absolutely. I believe that for all of you. Well, we've made it to the end of the episode. Thank you for hanging with me. And tune in for next week for a show entitled What Type of Parent Are You? Until then, love and peace to all of you. Have the best week.